Good morning. It's April 2nd, and this is your daily brief in science. Here's everything you need to know. A new approach using patient-specific digital twins of diseased hearts is being tested to guide ablation for ventricular tachycardia, aiming for more precise targeting and potentially fewer complications. In a small Johns Hopkins study under an FDA allowance, 10 patients were enrolled to test the digital twin method, with plans for larger, multi-center trials as the approach expands to atrial fibrillation and other studies. Researchers report that the twin-guided ablations cut procedure times dramatically, from about 3 hours to roughly 30 minutes, while maintaining control of abnormal rhythms. Independent experts call the approach innovative and promising, but caution that larger multi-center trials are needed to confirm benefits and determine whether it represents a game-changing advance. In the trial, 8 of 10 patients had no post-treatment arrhythmias, and 2 had a single brief episode. Most patients also stopped antiarrhythmic drugs. Dr. Natalia Trajanova's team emphasizes treating the twin before treating the patient, using virtual outcomes to decide where to ablate and to anticipate alternative arrhythmias. The method seeks to identify precise ablation targets, reduce tissue damage, shorten procedures, and improve safety compared with traditional trial-and-error approaches. Digital twins help pinpoint ablation regions and anticipate potential secondary arrhythmias, potentially shrinking tissue injury and overall procedure time. The Hopkins team is expanding the work to atrial fibrillation and broader studies, while other researchers explore digital twins in cancer care, suggesting a broader interest in this technology across medicine. A second plenary session highlighted global cancer care, focusing on rising cancer rates and the disproportionate impact on low- and middle-income countries, where only about 5% of cancer funding reaches the region. LMICs account for more than 70% of cancer deaths, while receiving less than 5% of funding, prompting calls for standardized treatment, expanded prevention, including human papillomavirus vaccination and screening, and attention to funding cuts and resource disparities. Collaborations like the African Cancer Coalition and regional guideline initiatives in MENA were cited as models for adapting guidelines and pooling regional resources. The discussion underscored global oncology disparities and showcased collaborations, such as the international adaptations of the NCCN guidelines for Sub-Saharan Africa and the NCCN guidelines MENA editions, as frameworks for regional needs and partnerships. Operational improvements were noted, including the high demand for NCCN guidelines, with millions of downloads annually, and the potential for advanced electronic health records, AI governance, and interinstitutional collaboration to streamline workflows. NCCN guidelines for adolescents and young adults were highlighted as a key resource for addressing the needs of younger patients throughout care. The conference also showcased more than 300 original research abstracts across bioinformatics, clinical oncology, epidemiology, and quality improvement, with emphasis on equity in care and precision oncology. The next NCCN annual conference is scheduled for March 19 through 23, 2027 in San Diego, inviting continued global collaboration in cancer care. Past events, including the 2026 Orlando Conference, brought together over 1,000 oncology professionals, including many virtual attendees, to discuss advances in research, guideline updates, operations, and care delivery policy issues. Panels praised global collaborations and regional guideline adaptations as exemplars of how to advance care through partnerships. Artemis 2 is gearing up with bright orange Orion Crew survival system suits designed to sustain the crew for up to 6 days if cabin pressure is lost, and to aid survival after splashdown. Each suit carries a life preserver, personal locator beacon, rescue knife, and a signaling kit including a mirror, strobe, flashlight, whistle, and light sticks. The international orange color is chosen for maximum visibility to help search and rescue teams spot the astronauts quickly in ocean or other recovery scenarios. NASA emphasizes these suits are built for high visibility in emergencies to support swift rescue and recovery after splashdown. The mission spans about 250,000 miles, marking a major step toward returning humans to the Moon within roughly 2 years. A mascot named Rise, created by a second grader, will accompany the crew as a zero-gravity indicator. Rise contains an SD card with the names of more than 5.6 million participants in NASA's Send Your Name with Artemis campaign. Viewing options include NASA Plus, NASA's YouTube channel, Roku, Apple TV, plus coverage on major news networks. Prime Video also streams NASA Plus content. Artemis 2 is scheduled to launch around April 1, 2026, within a 2-hour window starting at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time, with additional opportunities through April 6th. The crew will orbit the Moon for about 10 days and return to test life support systems for future missions. The crew has arrived at Kennedy Space Center and is in quarantine as part of preparations. Wiseman stresses deliberate, non-rushed operations and crew familiarity in the cockpit. Artemis aims to establish a sustainable human presence on the Moon, including exploring the South Pole for water ice to support life and rocket fuel, and to lay groundwork for future crewed missions to Mars, drawing inspiration from Artemis's mythic namesake. Florida Today's space team and NASA pages provide live coverage and additional resources for Artemis 2. The crew comprises Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen, who will travel about 600,000 miles around the Moon before returning. Launch is planned for 6:24 p.m. local time, weather permitting. A simple change in store layout is linked to more fruit and vegetable buying, with about 2,525 extra portions purchased weekly across 36 English supermarkets. 6 months after the redesign, women showed improved diet quality and higher daily fruit and vegetable intake, while overall waste levels stayed largely the same. Researchers suggest extending regulations to require fresh produce near entrances in large discount supermarkets to lift national diet quality. The study, published in PLOS Medicine and led by Professor Christina Vogel, emphasizes the potential public health impact of modest retail changes. Context notes a strong link between obesity, diet quality, and health, and points out that fewer than 1% of retailer promotions feature fruit and vegetables. The period studied coincided with declines in fruit and vegetable purchases during COVID-19 and the cost of living crisis, underscoring the relevance of accessible produce. Experts say improving access to healthy foods could counter declines in produce consumption during the pandemic and economic hardship. The broader significance is that small environmental tweaks in retail could deliver population-level health benefits amid ongoing challenges to fruit and vegetable intake. Fewer than 1% of retailer promotions promote fruit and vegetables, signaling the potential impact of strategic placement. Even minor layout changes can yield meaningful public health gains and should be considered as part of efforts to reduce obesity and diet-related diseases. Public health voices urge retailers to work with research to turn simple layout tweaks into practical, actionable health insights. The project was led by the Centre for Food Policy at City, University of London, and the MRC Life Course Epidemiology Centre at the University of Southampton, with collaboration from several universities and Deakin University. A new approach reframes DNA as an active, non-genetic tool inside living cells, using a retron-based system that generates DNA from RNA and stays autonomous from the host genome. Researchers engineered retron-generated DNA fragments to be stable and operable, so DNA can function as an active component rather than just a blueprint. The study demonstrates 3 core applications: using DNA as bait to recruit proteins and regulate gene expression, directing real-time protein relocalization in response to intracellular signals, and semi-permanently recording transient molecular events after brief inputs. The work shows DNA fragments acting as cargo to influence transcription factor availability, sensors that trigger immediate protein localization changes, and high temporal resolution recording of fleeting molecular events in live cells. Published in Nature Chemistry in mid-January 2026, the paper is titled Construction of Synthetic Protein-Binding Non-Genetic DNA Systems in Living Cells and is led by post-doc researchers under Professor Youngmin Kim with Ph.D., candidate Jeonhu Lee. The research repurposes the bacterial retron system to generate stable, programmable DNA fragments inside cells via reverse transcription of RNA, without altering core genomic DNA. This enables controlled gene expression, protein localization, and the recording of transient events through non-genetic DNA. The platform is described as a step toward autonomous smart biotherapeutics that sense disease markers and regulate treatment in real time, as well as enhanced environmental biosensing and bioreporting. Implications extend across medicine, environmental science, and energy sectors, with potential applications in sensing cancer or inflammation and detecting pollutants like microplastics or heavy metals. The work reflects a multidisciplinary effort across synthetic biology, molecular genetics, and bioengineering, supported by Korean science and education programs and institutions. In short, the study positions DNA as a programmable cellular tool, integrating protein interactions, localization shifts, and event recording without changing the organism's genome. This has been your Daily Brief in Science. To read more about these stories, follow the links in the episode bio. You can also subscribe to these updates via email at www.brief.news. For more daily podcasts about the topics you love, visit brief.news/podcasts. Tune in tomorrow. We'll be back with everything you need to know.